As coaches, we know that some of the biggest hurdles to our team's success can come from off the field. Your team needs support to tackle the endless list of expenses, uniforms, training equipment, travel, and more. But raising that money can feel like a full-time job. Thankfully, there's Vertical Raise. Vertical Raise is the premier online fundraising platform using innovative technology to create the easiest and most efficient system available. Raise more money in less time with a local fundraising coach who works with your team every step of the way to customize the ideal fundraiser. With options for online donations, digital discount cards, premium product sales, and even spirit shops, Vertical Raise has top-of-the-line solutions for every fundraising style. To find out more, visit verticalraise.com and we'll get you connected with an exclusive offer on your first fundraiser. All coaches aspire to be champions, and this time of year is when you set that vision for your team. By now, listeners of this podcast know about signature championship rings and have met some of the signature champion coaches who partner with them to celebrate their achievements. Reputable, affordable, first-class customer service are just some of the ways we keep hearing coaches describe signature championship rings. So as you're ramping up this summer for the upcoming season, create a championship vision for your team now using the design tool at signaturechampions.com/podcast. Give your team a visual to motivate their pursuit of a championship in 2024. And when your team has a championship moment to celebrate, we highly recommend consulting with Signature Championship Rings.
Our success comes from playing as a team. And that's the mindset that our program has for the last 3 years. And if we stick together and play as a team rather than individually, we will continue to be successful.
On this installment of Champion Series presented by Signature Championship Rings, we have our first guest state champion ever from the state of Hawaii. We're really excited to learn more about his program and what they do and how their It Takes a Village approach has helped them build a strong program that their community is proud of. My guest is Sterling Carvalho, head coach of Kahuku High School, the 2023 state champs. Coach, I'm excited that you're here and joining us today and giving us some insight into what makes your program successful.
Well, thank you. Thank you for having me. This is such an honor and an opportunity. Thank you.
Like we've talked about on the podcast with several coaches this offseason, the pandemic was really an opportunity to shift how things are done and move programs forward. Coach, can you share how your team's transformation during the pandemic impacted your overall strategy moving out of the pandemic?
So when people talk about Kahuku High School and the history of Kahuku High School, they see Kahuku High School as a smash mouth football. It was, if you watch Kahuku High School in prior years, it was 90% running, maybe 10% passing. The pandemic hit in 2020, and it was very. So we would just meet at parks, beach parks, wherever we could find some grass, and we just started throwing footballs. And we just threw and threw and threw every day, all day, because that's all we had to do for a whole year. And that was the transformation that transformed Kahuku High School from what it was to what it is now. And from that, we took our team to various pylon tournaments. And we won 2 years in a row, the Mecca in 2021 and 2022 in Las Vegas. And for 2 years straight, we didn't lose any pylon tournament. So it was a testament to the hungriness, the hard work, and the dedication of our boys and the transformation of Kahuku football that it is today.
So even though you're throwing the ball all over the place, you're still known for being a physical team. Can you talk about that and the balance that it brings to your offense?
Oh, believe it. Yes, of course. We make sure we have that dominant running game known to our opponents. And so we are able to still run the ball. And when teams start to crowd us, Now we have the ability to go over the top and to open it up, come into an empty set, 10 personnel, but we still can line back up into a 13, a 12, a 21 package and still just run it down people's mouths. And I think that's what been successful for us for the last 3 years as state champion. Is a lot of defenses can't figure out what we're going to do. Are we going to run the ball or we're going to pass the ball? And our defense has always just been so stellar. So we're very grateful.
There's definitely some history of successful players from your program and from your state. Can you talk about them and the pride they have in what you're doing?
Yeah, right now, currently, Alohi Gilman is playing with the Chargers. She's been doing really well. Bradley and I, he just got injured, so he's off right now. So there also are two current NFL players that got drafted that were in the NFL. We currently have a lot of players in college right now. Pichula Mili, he's a household name here at Kahuku, one of the great tight ends, played for the Seattle Seahawks. He was actually very impressed in the morph of our program. And he was like, I wish I was in this program. They threw like 4 times and all went to me. And now you guys throwing it sometimes 20, 30 times a game, right? So players like that really are appreciative of the transformation of Kahuku football now.
One thing I noticed, Coach, in looking at your schedule, you don't shy away from big games. You've scheduled some nationally ranked teams, some perennial powers, and you've had success against them. Why is it important to you that you're developing your program in that way?
Oh, we look forward to those games. As coaches, you always have and preach that mentality. If you want to be the best, you have to play the best. That's Kahuku football. That's our mentality. And first of all, I'm very grateful for these nationally ranked teams to take a chance on a team like Kahuku, which is a public school. And our enrollment we're lucky if we have a little over 200 per graduating class. That's how small our school is. So we're a small school on the North Shore of Oahu, able to compete against these nationally ranked teams. And so this past year, we played Modern Day, who was ranked at that time number 1. And we didn't show up. They were a great team, and they more or less gave us a good whooping. And then the week after, nationally ranked number 3 at that time was St. John Bosco. And we played them, and very fortunately was able to get the W against them. But what makes it unique for our players is we don't see that size and speed on the island, right? We don't see across the board 6'6", 6'5", huge, fast players who run 4.3. And so we need to see those things. If our players want to have that mentality that I want to play D1 college, well, you know what? We better go and play D1 caliber players while they're in high school so you can see where you're at. And that's why we take these games, to make our kids better, to make our program better, to give them an experience and an opportunity of what is out there so they know how much harder they need to work in the off season. If this is what you want, this is what you have to do to get there. And so it just helps our program to elevate itself. And every single year, we know what to look forward to. We know what it takes to compete year after year. So that's why every year we try to get at least 2 nationally ranked teams. So a year before, we had St. John Bosco and St. Francis. This past year, we had St. John Bosco and Modern Day. So we usually do a home and home contract. And that's why we travel there and they travel to Hawaii.
I've always been interested in the use of technology to make our jobs more effective. So I'm excited to continue sharing modern football technology with you here on the podcast. This innovative system leverages tendencies to improve self-scouting, game planning, and in-game decision-making at the speed of the game. Modern football stands out because it's a battle-tested platform used by teams at all levels, like 4-time national champion Bishop Gorman, the 5-time California state champion Folsom Bulldogs, 6-time Texas state champion Lake Travis, Cal Football, and the CFL's Grey Cup champions, the Montreal Alouettes. So book a demo today to see why these teams trust modern football technology Visit www.teammofo.com/demo and mention Coach and Coordinator Podcast or use the coupon code CC10 to receive 10% off your first year.
Hey, it's Kaylee Cuoco for Priceline. Ready to go to your happy place for a happy price? Well, why didn't you say so? Just download the Priceline app right now and save up to 60% on hotels. So whether it's Cousin Kevin's Kazoo Concert in Kansas City, go Kevin, or Becky's Bachelorette Bash in Bermuda, you never have to miss a trip ever again. So download the Priceline app today. Your savings are waiting.
Go to your happy place for a happy price. Go to your happy price, Priceline.
As you progress through your 2024 season and find yourself on a path to a championship, remember to reach out to our partner, Signature Championship Rings. I've talked to several of their customers who have been a part of our Champion Series, and they rave about the customer service, the quality of the rings, and how much more affordable they are compared to the competition. Coach Carvalho and the Red Raiders are now sporting their 2023 state championship rings from Signature Championship Rings, and we'll be sure to share that design on coachandcoordinator.com. Link to Signature Championship Rings is in the show notes. You are our first state champion from Hawaii that we've interviewed. What do you want coaches around the country to know about high school football in Hawaii?
Hawaii football is physical. I mean, these kids, not just at Kahuku, but all teams across the 808, they don't care how small we are. They don't care how big you are. We will come at you and we will literally, for better terms, punch you in the mouth. We will line up against you and we will come at you with what we got. They play with a lot of pride and a lot of heart. All the kids here in Hawaii, they do that. And I think that's why a lot of college coaches, when they come to recruit Hawaii, they come to recruit these boys that have heart. And that's what they get. It's any player coming from the 808.
What is it that allows you to compete with teams like John Bosco or Mater Dei that are loaded with 4- and 5-star athletes?
Just a team. So kind of going back to the mindset that we have our players is that when we play any opponent, the St. John Bosco, the Mater Dei, the St. Francis, the St. Louis is out there. If we play them individually, they probably will be bigger, faster, stronger than we are across the board. They're full players. Our success comes from playing as a team. And that's the mindset that our program has for the last 3 years. And if we stick together and play as a team rather than individually, we will continue to be successful.
You mentioned it to me before we got going that you play your best 11, but it's about players stepping up into roles as well. Can you explain how that works in your program?
Well, we don't, as an offensive coordinator, and especially on our team, is the best 11 will play. So we have some two-way players and the mindset that, you know what, everybody is part of this team and matters and can contribute. So during the week, if people can contribute on offense, they will come to offense. If they contribute on defense or special teams, they do so. But we understand and we put just as much emphasis on defense and special teams as we do on offense. The periods are just pretty much the same. And in this past state championship game, it was actually our special teams who won it for us. We started the game with an onside kick. We had a punt return for the game-winning touchdown. And then we had a little pooch kick at the very end, and we recovered it. So the opponent, Mililani, couldn't get the ball back. So for us to put the mindset of a team is we put the emphasis that all three phases matter. And when we run offense, defense, and special teams, everyone knows that if I can contribute in any one part of that game, I'll be called upon and I will be able to deliver.
When you look at all the things you do, what do you feel was the biggest key to winning a state championship?
The off season. I mean, we all know as coaches, we don't win in the season. We win in the off season. So these boys here at Kahuku, they start training January, February, March, April. They don't stop. No, so that's how we win. We win in the off season, and there are conditions, and their mindset is, I don't want to leave the field. And so when you have players that don't want to leave the field, they'll give it their all every single game. We're very fortunate to have kids like that. I have to give hats off to my coaches. It's my coaches who run the off season as well. So the continuity of the conditioning and the drills simulate the type of schemes and things that we want to do on the field. So I have a coach, Solo Soleil, who runs our off-season program under our club name of Rebel Squad. He shows up at 6 a.m. and he opens it up from kids as young as 3 years old to high school. Anybody wants to, 6 o'clock in the morning, they train. And then the boys come in the afternoon and they lift and train again. This is what we do all summer long, and they're ready for the season. So come to the season, all those functional movements that they have been conditioning translates to the field.
And for your program, this goes beyond your high school kids. For these younger kids, they see your high school guys like they're the big time. How does that build into the sense of this really being about the community?
Yeah, I mean, it's great that when we open workouts here in our community, we involve, like you said, the village. We involve everyone here to make sure that when they come to high school, they're looking forward. And then, for our high school players, they take the role of mentors. So it kind of is a win-win situation for us that our high school students are taking younger kids under their wings, being their mentors, training them, helping them learn the ropes. And the little kids are looking up to our players. And it was funny because Michael Bennett, he comes out this side a lot for the Seahawks. One time he came and he was asking a group of kids, like, who's your favorite football players? And a lot of kids from, town, they name a lot of NFL players. But he knew every kid from our side, they would list a high school player that plays at Kahuku. And so it just shows that the bond that the younger kids have for our older kids in high school and vice versa is very tight. So everybody wants to be a Red Raider. And that's why we have that motto, Red Raider for life. That's what everybody wants to be and play for.
I'm sure that there's a ton of excitement in your community with all this support. What does it look like for you on game day?
Oh, man, it's, in comparison, it would be like going to a Nebraska game. We're called the Red Sea. So when you come to a Kahuku football game, you will see the sea of red. And our crowd is second to none. Our Red Raider Nation, they bring it each and every week. And I think that's why a lot of these nationally ranked schools wants to play us, because we bring that type of atmosphere. We'll sell out stadiums. So we went to St. John Bosco, we sold out their stadium. And, we provide a very competitive game as well. We got the best of both worlds, but our Red Raider Nation, they are very supportive of our boys.
Being away from the mainland and all the clinics we have, etc. I know this has changed with the virtual world, but for you as a coach, how do you go about learning the game?
Yeah, besides being a coach, I'm a high school math teacher. So I'm an educator by profession. And because I'm an educator by profession, I have that mindset to always keep improving my craft, right? So same thing with coaching. Every time in the off season, I read, I go to conferences. Man, I have a great bond with the University of Utah, all the way from Coach Rod McBride to now Coach Whittingham. They allow me the opportunity to shadow them. I had 1 month that I was able to be in the offices and on the field of the University of Utah with Coach Whittingham from 6 in the morning to 6 at night. And I'm very grateful for those opportunities. So I seek for knowledge. I seek to get better, always improving, never stagnant. And I think that's what continues to make our program and my coaches better, because they do the same. And I think if we continue to just have an open mind and continue to look what is out there, how can we better improve our program, not necessarily change our program, but to improve our program, I'll be all for it. And that's what I go out and do.
You've really built a community of support. But when you look at things internally, how important has continuity, especially within your staff, been to building your program?
I mean, everybody wants to coach for Kahuku. And the staff I have, they're very loyal to me. In 2015, years prior to that, starting in 2006, I was the offensive coordinator for Kahuku High School. Then in 2015, 1 week before the season was supposed to start, the whole JV staff, our junior varsity, walked away. And so the athletic director came to me and said, Sterling, I need you to put a staff and coach our junior varsity team. I had 1 week to put together a staff, and the staff I have currently was those guys I called. So in 1 week, we put together this staff. We went in and we coached a JV, and that year we won the JV championship for Kahuku. And so these coaches have been with me since then. And we came up to the ranks of junior varsity. We've been to everything, thick and thin, wins, losses, good, bad. And so the staff I have now, I'm very grateful for their loyalty, but they're not just loyal. They're great coaches with high energy, a lot of wisdom, and they're dedicated to the program and the players.
Coach, really appreciate you taking the time, letting us learn more about Hawaii football, about Kahuku High School, and the things that you guys do there. I'm certainly excited to hear about the support you have for football in Hawaii and within your community, and best of luck to you and the Raiders here in 2024.
Well, thank you so much. Thank you for having me here.
With threats to our nation waiting around every corner, adaptability is more important than ever. When conditions change without notice, quick strategic thinking is crucial. And with obstacles consistently impending, determination is essential in overcoming them. It's this willingness, decisiveness, and resilience that sets Marines apart. With our fighting spirit, we don't just fight battles, we win them. Marines are the constant our nation counts on to fight the unknown. And through adaptable problem solving, we do just that. Learn more at marines.com.
Here are winning edge takeaways and ideas for implementation. 1. Be sure you schedule time after the season to take a step back and evaluate. The pandemic provided everyone a chance to do that, and we've shared countless stories of coaches who used that downtime during the pandemic to look at how they do things and learn different ways. It doesn't mean that you need to make wholesale changes, but spend time evaluating where you've been, determining where you want to go, and the best way to get there. 2. Rely on your players to build the program. Kahuku's players took charge during the pandemic in leading workouts off campus, and they take a role in leadership in the off-season to be great ambassadors for the program in the community. Find ways to allow your players to lead, and it'll bring in more supporters into the program and create that pride like Kahuku has in their community. And 3, don't be afraid to strategically stretch your team's ability by scheduling strong opponents. It may not pay off immediately, but your team will see how they need to step it up to compete at a higher level. You don't need to schedule nationally ranked programs until you're ready to do that, and you can scale your program up to it. But doing so will create a stronger program over time. Remember to connect with our partner, Signature Championship Rings. Use their ring creator on the website to create your championship ring, print it out, post it on your locker room or weight room wall to provide your players with the vision and motivation for the season. The link is in the show notes. Follow us on X at Coach K. Grabowski.